Spring of 1815. Europe trembles as a familiar shadow reappears. Napoleon Bonaparte, once thought defeated and safely confined to exile, has returned from the tiny island of Elba. The French emperor, whose ambition carved an empire across the continent, now marches once more. But this time, the stakes are higher than ever. 10 years of war have drained Europe, and the monarchs who united to topple him once before are determined that he will never rise again. Still, Napoleon is no ordinary man. His escape electrifies France. Peasants, soldiers, even officers flock to his banner. The Bourbon king flees in panic, and within weeks Napoleon stands once more in Paris as emperor. Yet across the continent, in the grand halls of Vienna, his enemies put aside their quarrels and declare him an outlaw. They vow to crush him before his power grows. Napoleon knows he cannot wait for them to descend on France. If he is to survive, he must strike. June arrives, and with it, Napoleon's gamble. His army, still fierce though smaller than before, marches swiftly across the frontier near Charleroi. The plan is daring, to drive a wedge between Wellington and Blücher, to crush each in turn before their combined strength overwhelms him. The French advance throws the Allies into chaos. Marshal Ney clashes with Wellington's forward troops at Quatre-Bras, where fields of wheat and narrow crossroads become the scene of savage fighting. The British-led forces, still scrambling into position, just manage to hold their ground. Meanwhile, Napoleon himself strikes Blücher at Ligny, a village that soon becomes a charnel house of smoke, steel, and shattered lives. Blücher, 72 years old and still leading from the front, has his horse shot from beneath him and narrowly escapes capture. The Prussians retreat, battered but not destroyed. To Napoleon, it feels like triumph. He dispatches Marshal Grouchy with 30,000 men to hound the Prussians and prevent their return, while he turns north to finish Wellington once and for all. Victory seems within his grasp, but war is never simple, and fate often has its own plans. On June 17th, under skies that weep torrents of summer rain, Wellington retreats toward Brussels. His weary, mud-soaked army halts on a ridge near the village of Waterloo. There, the British general makes his stand. The position is clever. A shallow slope shields his men from French artillery, while 3 fortified farmhouses, Hougoumont, La Haye-Sainte, and Papelotte, anchor his lines. Yet his army is far from ideal, a patchwork of British regulars, Dutch conscripts, and German allies. Many have never faced battle. They will need every advantage, and Wellington knows it. Still, he holds one crucial promise. Blücher will march to his aid. If the Prussians arrive in time, the two armies together might stop Napoleon. If not, Wellington risks annihilation. As dawn breaks on June 18th, Napoleon surveys the ridge. His veterans, scarred from decades of campaigns, wait eagerly for the order. The emperor delays, waiting for the sodden ground to dry. It is a fateful pause. Hours slip by, and with them, opportunities vanish. At last, around 11 a.m., the guns thunder. The Battle of Waterloo has begun. The opening blows fall at Hougoumont on Wellington's right flank. Napoleon hopes a diversion here will draw away Allied reserves, but the farmhouse becomes a fortress of defiance. British guardsmen and German allies fight tooth and nail, clinging to walls and orchards as French waves crash against them. At one point, attackers force open the gates, only to be trapped inside and cut down. For hours, Hougoumont burns and bleeds, but never falls. By midday, Napoleon turns his focus to the center. 80 cannon roar, hurling iron across the ridge. Smoke thickens, men fall in heaps, and the fields turn crimson. At 1:30, French infantry columns surge uphill, drums pounding, eagles gleaming. But Wellington's men rise from the reverse slope and unleash disciplined volleys. Then thunder answers thunder. British heavy cavalry crash into the French, sabers flashing, horses pounding. For a moment, the French line buckles. Men trample beneath hooves. 2 cherished eagle standards are seized. But exhilaration turns to disaster. The cavalry rides too far, becomes scattered, and is countercharged by French horsemen. In minutes, the victors become the vanquished, their triumph buried beneath sabers and steel. The battle rages on, indecisive, merciless. By late afternoon, the struggle grows desperate. Marshal Ney, misreading the smoke and movement, believes Wellington's army is faltering. He orders massed cavalry to charge. Thousands of horsemen sweep forward, glittering in their armor, thundering across the fields. But Wellington's infantry do not break. They form hollow squares, tight, bristling formations of bayonets. Charge after charge smashes against them. French horses rearing, riders shot from the saddle. The Allied squares hold, defiant amid the storm. Meanwhile, on the horizon, dust clouds rise. The Prussians are coming. Blücher's battered army, thought lost, is marching to Waterloo. They fall upon Napoleon's right flank, seizing the village of Plancenoit after brutal street fighting. French reserves counterattack, but the noose is tightening. Around 6 p.m., French infantry finally seize La Haye-Sainte, blasting the Allied center with close-range artillery. Wellington's men waver, the line bends, and it seems the end is near. Desperate, Napoleon commits his final reserve, the Imperial Guard, veterans of Austerlitz and Jena, soldiers who have never known defeat. With drums beating and eagles raised, they march into history. At 7:30 p.m., the Imperial Guard advances, their ranks gleaming in the fading light. They are the hammer meant to shatter Wellington's exhausted line. But as they crest the ridge, redcoats rise before them. Muskets crack in devastating volleys. Smoke envelops the guard. Men fall in droves. When the British fix bayonets and surge forward, the unthinkable happens. The guard wavers. Then, for the first time, they break. Cries of panic ripple across the field. La Garde recule. The guard retreats. The French army's spirit shatters. Rumors of encirclement spread as Prussians pour in and panic ignites. Napoleon's proud host dissolves into a flood of fugitives. Only the old guard holds firm, sacrificing themselves in a doomed rearguard action. Napoleon himself narrowly escapes capture, his empire crumbling around him. The battle is over. Wellington and Blücher meet amid the carnage, their unlikely alliance sealed in victory. Waterloo is a near-run thing, but it changes Europe forever. 50,000 lie dead or wounded, and age ends in blood and smoke. Napoleon will spend his last days on a distant Atlantic rock, his dreams buried with the fallen. And yet even now, Waterloo stands not just as a battle, but as a reminder. Empires rise and fall, but history never forgets.